人生的三大财富。
The Three Great Treasures of Life. Siefeng, July 24, 2006. Translated by Transin and edited by Kayer. People accumulate and process three types of treasures of wealth during their lifetimes. They are defined as material wealth. This is the physical material to sustain human bodies, represented by forms of money such as currency, precious metals, jewelry, real estate, vehicles, food, household appliances, clothing, and any other physical properties. Spiritual wealth. This includes those elements that enable consciousness, including wisdom and understanding, and all mental activities to remain healthy, free, uplifted, comfortable, and blessed through attributes such as knowledge, skills, experiences, family affection, friendship, love, religions, groups, states, reputations, positions, and so on. Soul wealth. This is the intangible energy and information that can make the quality of life elevate and the non-material structure of life evolve to the perfect system, such as the psychic energy of the greatest creator, the running program of Tao, the revelation of gods, the teachings of Buddha, the cultivation of celestial beings, inspiration, spiritual perception, and so on. The three great treasures above complement each other and are integral to each other. With no material wealth, we cannot have the foundation to make a living. We will either die or become beggars and parasites. Our bodies will not rest, our hearts shall not be at peace, and our undertakings will fail. We will be starving and impoverished, and so we must create and get material wealth by relying on our intelligence and hard work. However, those with only material wealth and no spiritual or soul wealth are lacking and tend to commit crime, suicide, and abuse life and nature. Without spiritual wealth, we would be a constantly moving animal who lives by instinct. The lack of ideological wealth would make us lonely, bored, and empty, and we could not reach a state of joy and blessing, and our mentality would be twisted and distorted, suppressed, hot-tempered, eccentric, and prone to go to extremes. However, those with only spiritual wealth but with no material or soul wealth are lacking, prone to being liars, to talk big and fool along. They are likely to do things stealthily, be opportunistic, and become parasites who love to eat, drink, and have fun, as well as careerists and schemers. Without soul wealth, we would never know the meaning and value of life and the purposes of human life. We would not be able to establish the right worldview and outlook on life, and our values would be confused. Not having belief and faith would be like walking through the black of a starless night with low spiritual perception, and living a muddled life like a walking corpse. However, those with only soul wealth but no material or spiritual wealth are also lacking. They are likely to be possessed by devils, dwell on spirits and deities, fortunes and disasters, and to play with concepts. They look ghost-like and are obsessed and maniacal. They tend to defile the names of the greatest creator, gods, Buddha, and celestial beings, to poison and bewitch people's hearts, to bring harm to society, and to deviate from humanity and from nature. Earth, water, air, and fire mutually reinforce and neutralize each other. Symmetric balance is blessing. If you ignore any single one of the three great treasures, you will not be able to obtain a perfect life and will walk on a deformed life road. The perfect life should be as such. To learn knowledge and skills lifelong, based on the experiences acquired through hard and honest work, getting a constant, proper amount of material wealth, but never taking the pursuit of material wealth as life's ultimate purpose, lest we become slaves to material wealth. To love nature, cherish family affection, friendship, love, to honor our good reputations, to comprehend the revelations of gods and Buddha, to listen to the teachings of saints and sages, to revere nature and the greatest creator, to constantly self-refine and self-improve, to never stop trekking and climbing to the highest realms of life and develop to perfection. To take the way of the greatest creator and pursue the three great treasures, giving neither up nor going to extremes with either, but controlling the balance, having peaceful hearts and minds, just like the clear streams falling from the head source while cheering and jumping across valleys and between mountains, winding their way and rushing to the vast ocean while singing all the way. In the end, it is to get wishes fulfilled, debts paid off, connections unbound from the mortal world, and to become extraordinarily refined, to accumulate merits and virtues, to understand the mystery of life, to meet death with joy and excitement, and to ultimately reach the Elysium world.
追赶太阳，逃过黑夜。
Chasing the sun and escaping the night. Zjefeng. July 10, 2017. Edited by Kayer. It was 6 a.m. on Wednesday, August 19th. We flew west for 2.5 hours from Beijing Capital Airport, PK, to Chhatrapati Shivaji International Airport, BIOM, in Mumbai, India, where the local time was also 6 a.m. We then continued to fly west for another 3.5 hours to Harare International Airport, HRE, in Zimbabwe, where the local time was still 6 a.m. We continued to fly for another 7 hours to New York City, where the local time was still 6 a.m. We continued to fly west for another 11 hours back to Beijing International Airport, where we found that the time was also 6 a.m., but it was Thursday, August 20th. We had flown for 24 hours from 6 a.m. on Wednesday to 6 a.m. on Thursday, but the 24 hours we had gone through were all during the morning, never in the evening, and all the times we saw were 6 a.m., so where did the night go? You may think about where the night went, but the fact is that we are fully capable of leading our lives without nights, and can even spend them with eternal mornings, middays, and afternoons. From this we know the following truth. As long as we chase the light, we can escape the darkness. This is an indisputable fact, but is everything like this? Things can be very smooth when we actively seek sincerity, kindness, beauty, and love, but misfortune will befall us when we fail to actively pursue them, just as we would encounter the night if we did not remain on westbound jet planes. A girl who finds a sugar daddy may escape from poverty for a brief period of time, and a boy who follows an emperor may escape disaster. When our fathers want to punish us, but we coax them and make them happy in some way, their desire to punish us will diminish. The ship we were to have taken sank, but we took a patient with a serious disease to a hospital and missed the ship and also the disaster. Please try to understand this fact. If we chase the light, we can escape the darkness. If we pursue happiness, we can be free from misery and trouble. If we pursue the truth, we can avoid falsity. If we pursue beauty, we can escape ugliness. And if we pursue goodness, we will avoid evil. More importantly, if we pursue the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world, we will escape the mortal world. Nights exist, but they have nothing to do with us. The mortal world exists, but it has nothing to do with the people who live in heaven. And here is the fact. If we worship Buddha, then we will attain Buddhahood, and if we seek to be celestial beings, then we will become celestial beings. Those who remain single all their lives will avoid the afflictions that families cause. If we learn from the saints, we will avoid committing crimes, being hunted by the police, and being arrested. If we sit at home for self-improvement, we will miss the car accident. If we attend church or temple services, we will miss being assaulted, mugged, or robbed. If we do not fight in wars, we will avoid the threat of being killed on the battlefield. Chanyuan Celestials of Life Chanyuan go all out to pursue sincerity, kindness, beauty, love, and the highest realms of life and life, and will escape the darkness, falsity, wickedness, ugliness, hate, and cheating, and escape from the mortal world and from hell. Misfortune and suffering will withdraw farther from us. We will have light when others are in darkness, we'll be in a land of idyllic beauty when others are being punished by nature, and we'll be enjoying the kingdom of heaven when others fall into abysses. We are delighted to cultivate ourselves every day, and to revere and take the way of the greatest creator. Unconsciously, we avoid a lot of misery and devastation. As long as we hold on to our faith, we will be able to reach the shore of our ideals. Chase the light and escape the darkness.
战略人生
Strategic Life. Zjefeng. Edited by Kayer. Using the best building plan, employing the most advanced machinery, mobilizing the best construction workers, and applying the highest quality materials, such as steel and concrete tiles to build a skyscraper on sand, what will happen? The result will be a crushing failure. Why? Because there was a strategic error. You cannot build a high-rise building on sand, and even if you could and did, a single breeze would collapse it. If it is strategically wrong, any tactical success is equal to zero. As in the example above, the building plan, the advanced machinery, the excellent construction workers, the high-quality materials and other tactical successes will ultimately have zero value because of the strategic mistake. Strategies are overall planning and designs. Tactics are specific measures to achieve them. If the strategy is wrong, then even the best tactics are ultimately hopeless efforts. Sun Tzu's The Art of War includes strategies and tactics. Life also includes both. The so-called strategic life must grasp and operate life from the macro perspective, or life must first have the right ideal with the right directions and goals. Otherwise, no matter how diligent you are, how hard you try in your lifetime, you will end up fruitless. I once drilled a well in a remote village in the Binga area of Matabeleland in the North Province of Zimbabwe. First, I mobilized all the villagers and built nearly 10 kilometers of road, and we cut down the trees that blocked the vehicles along both sides of the road. Then trucks loaded with the drill and other materials and workers entered the construction site in a formidable array. Hundreds of villagers cheered like thunder and supported us with great enthusiasm. After 2 days of drilling down to a depth of 90 meters, not a single drop of water had been found. The drilling failed. After having taken so much labor and having invested so much money, the result in the end was zero. Why was that? The reason lies not in tactics but in strategy. In other words, the drilling point designated by the geologic and hydrographic staff was dry. In a spot with no water, no matter how many human and financial resources you invest, or how excellent the drilling experts you have mobilized are, you will never drill out water. While taking a course in marketing, an American professor told us the story of an American shoe factory that wanted to set up a branch in Africa. So they sent 2 market researchers to Africa to make a survey of the shoe market. One researcher came back and reported pessimistically that there was no market for shoes in Africa because African people did not wear shoes. Another researcher came back and reported optimistically that a huge market for shoes existed in Africa because none of the African people were wearing shoes. In this situation, what should the American shoe factory have done? This leads to the strategic issue. If the strategy is correct, then there will eventually be huge profits, but if the strategy is wrong, it will drag the shoe factory down. Most African women do not wear socks, and if someone were to import a container of socks to sell in Africa, he or she would be making a strategic mistake. Recently, I found a pinch of black slags on the white floor tiles in my bathroom. The situation remained the same the next day, even though the gardener cleaned it every day. Today I bent down and took a closer look. It turned out that dozens of tiny ants were making nests along the edge of the floor tiles against the wall. I felt very sad about this because those ants had made a strategic mistake. The bathroom is very clean and having a food source would be a big problem. Would it not have been better if the nest had been built in the lawn or under the tree roots in the garden? It might be a good idea to build a gem processing factory in Siberia, Russia, but building a soy sauce factory would be a strategic mistake. Now let us come back to the strategic issues of life. The first strategic issue of life is to give play to your strengths and to do the things that you want to do. If a profession is not right for you or if it does not make you feel comfortable, then do not force yourself to do it. You would be better off staying idle than forcing yourself to do it because this is a strategic issue. Once you make a strategic mistake, your whole life will be trapped into building castles on sand. Had the Nobel Peace Prize winner Mother Teresa not helped the helpless and lonely people, but rather studied radioactive elements like Marie Curie, she might not have accomplished anything at all. Likewise, if Chen Jingrun, who took the math crown pearl by solving the Goldbach conjecture, had been sent to manage the marketing department of an HR firm, it could have ended up in a complete mess. If a person is tone deaf but wants to learn music or wants to be a singer, then they would be making a strategic mistake of life. I have a distant uncle. He became an apprentice to a carpenter at an early age. 3 years later, he could not even make a chair without help from his master. That is to say, my distant uncle had made a strategic mistake of life. He was not born with the material to be a carpenter. The second strategic issue of life is to comply with time. Sowing in spring harvesting season and autumn is correct. If you want to act at times inverse of nature, you will be punished by the Tao of heaven. Those who suit their actions to the times are wise. Yiwu people of Zhejiang Province, China are called the Jews of China because they have a shrewd business acumen. However, during the Cultural Revolution, they were often criticized as models of walking on the capitalist road, so their shrewd ability could not be played out. I knew a very talented man who remains in prison after more than 10 years because he was involved in a democracy movement. This was not a bad thing and it was totally above board, so why is he in prison? Because what he did was ill-timed. In other words, he wanted to pick and eat his watermelon before it was ripe, and he made a strategic mistake. The third strategic issue of life is to always place yourself in the right position and not to overstep. If it is your duty, you make sure to be conscientious and earnest to do it well and never to try to shirk your responsibility. But if it is not within the scope of your duties, keep your mouth shut, do not gossip, and pay no attention even if the sky falls. What responsibilities do you have as to whether the country rises or falls? You have a responsibility to be a good citizen. According to the teachings of Jesus Christ, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? I have several colleagues who often criticize the decisions of the leadership, as well as the work and behavior of other colleagues. Ultimately, they were a nuisance and could not play out their strengths, and so ended up complaining but unfulfilled. An assistant general manager was very talented and could have had broad future prospects, but because he was too critical of the decisions of the general manager, he was soon dismissed. That is to say, a person, no matter how capable they are, must be sure to place themselves in the right position. Every man should confine himself to his own duties, otherwise it is overstepping. What is the biggest strategic issue in life? Jesus tells us clearly, "For what a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul?" That is to say, the greatest strategic issue of life is the issue of the soul. From novels, history, and reality, we learn that many people have lost their souls for money and wealth, many have forfeited their souls for power, and many have lost their souls for fame and lust. These are all strategic mistakes of life. Similarly, many people have forfeited their souls for their families, their ethnic groups, their religious or political parties, or for their countries. These people have also made strategic mistakes of life. Everything is but a game. Only the soul is real. The issue of the soul should always be kept in first place because everything revolves around it. In this way, once the key link is grasped, everything else falls into place. Now, everything is clear and everything else in life is to play the game. You have developed a mind which does not abide in form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and dharma. And the Tathagata comes. That is the life strategy of great wisdom and intelligence. Open all.
是我们自己出卖了自己的自由。
It was we who sold our own liberty. Jiefeng. July 23, 2017. Translated by Treasure and edited by Kayer. Liberty is supreme and priceless, and it is the feature of life in heaven and shows the level of a life. The more liberty, the more heavenly. The less the liberty, the more hellish. Liberty, love. For my love I will sacrifice life. Thereto I need. For liberty I will sacrifice my love. Pedify Sandor. Is life so dear or peace so sweet, as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. Patrick Henry. Liberty is the greatest wealth in life. Losing it is losing life. Gaining it is gaining life. So what is liberty? Liberty is the infinite power of a life to use its eyes, ears, nose, body, mind, and tongue while acting with desire but never overstepping it. Seeing what you want is the liberty of your eyes. Hearing what you want is the liberty of your ears. Going where you want and using your hands and feet as you want is the liberty of your body. Saying and thinking what you want is the liberty of your mind, namely the liberty of your spirit and soul. The liberty of your eyes, ears, body, and mind form the liberty of your life. Those who have eyes but are forbidden to see, have ears but are forbidden to hear, have a mouth but are forbidden to speak, have feet but are forbidden to walk, have hands but are forbidden to act, and who want to lead their own lives but are banned from doing so have lives with no liberty. We will not discuss the liberty of gods, Buddha, celestials, saints, devils, monsters, or even plants and animals. We will only talk about that of humans. People have very little liberty. In other words, they rarely keep it in full. Why do we not have liberty? Because we sell it. How do we sell it? It is mainly sold through 3 channels or aspects. Culture. People sell themselves to traditional cultures. They accept traditional cultural values, such as the belief that people should marry when they grow up, but when they step into marriage, they sell their own liberty. Traditional culture says, never travel far from the company of parents, then the body has no liberty. Traditional culture says, love your nation and love your people. Come on. They have sold their liberty to their own nation and culture, and so on. Morality. They sell their liberty to their own values and beliefs. Party loyalists and religionists are stark examples. So-called proponents of liberty are actually kidnapped by their morality and sell their liberty to morality. If they sell their liberty to the belief in evolution, then they will not accept the value of creationism. As a result, the survival of the fittest, the law of the jungle, and winners are kings while losers are gangsters becomes their creed of life. It will be hard to avoid the fighting to death, and liberty can't be found anywhere. They need to remember that anyone without liberty is unable to offer it to others, just as the poor cannot bring wealth to others and ugly people cannot bring beauty to others. Mechanism. As long as there are constitutions, laws, regulations, doctrines, disciplines, contracts, and the like which restrict and bind them, people will sell their liberty to that which they set for themselves. Their state is a mechanism. They believe in their state, and they sell their liberty to their country. Marriage families are mechanisms, and as long as they consciously enter into marriage families, it is no doubt that people will sell their own liberty to the marriage family. A contract is a mechanism. When a contract is signed, liberty is sold to the contract. When we do not feel free today, we have to rethink that we have no liberty because we sold it. For that, it is as normal that we have no liberty as if we sell our house and then have nowhere to sleep. That is all our fault, and we have no excuse to complain to others. In addition to the 3 main channels to sell liberty listed above, we also have the following list of small channels through which it is sold. These include jealousy, blaming, comparing, fighting, killing, worry, fear, desire, money, power, fame, lust, and so on. As long as we are infected with any of these negative emotions or inner anxieties, or indulge in any desires, our liberty will be restricted or even lost. For example, if we fear something that restricts our liberty, then we sell our liberty to fear. When a country perpetrates a national terror policy and makes people live in fear from morning till night, then the people's liberty will be deprived completely, and they will have to live a life more like that of a dog than a human. Tracing back to the source, the country might not be bad, but the people have sold their liberty to fear. As more and more citizens of a country become willing to sell their liberty to fear, this terror policy becomes the perfect way for the state to control its people. The bondage of the individual is self-inflicted, and the slavery of all is caused by the collective. If one wants to enjoy liberty from such an environment, there is only one thing to do: escape. Where to go? To a free place. If there is no free place on the earth, escape to heaven.
寻找自己的伊甸园。
Looking for your own Garden of Eden. Jiefeng. December 1, 2007. Translated by Transin and edited by Kayer. Even tigers may be teased by dogs when they leave the remote mountains and come to lush and flat areas. Dragons can be duped by shrimp when they are in shallow water. Camels along the coast are harder to ride than donkeys, and domestic captive phoenixes are worse off than chickens. The tiger is the king of the mountains, but tigers can only give play to their power and prestige in the mountains. Once they come down to the plains, a pack of wild dogs will dare to tease them. Dragon are lords of the abyss, but dragons can only summon wind and call for rain in the abyss. If they fall into shallow depressions or ponds, the little shrimp and small fish can dupe them. Camels can only demonstrate their most valuable qualities in deserts, but if one lives along the coast, it would be less useful than a donkey. Phoenixes can roar out songs and show their magnificence in the quiet of plane trees, but if they are unfortunate enough to be kept in cages with feathers falling and listless in form and spirit, then they are worse than chickens. These phenomena suggest such a truth, that all kinds of life can only give full play to themselves and demonstrate their most precious qualities and values when they live in the environments suited to their natures. If they are unfortunate to live in an environment not suited to their own characteristics, not only can they not play out their strengths, but they might even be teased and duped by other creatures around them. I call the environment which best suits one's survival their Garden of Eden. Everyone has their own Garden of Eden, and it is only inside of it that they will live out their elegant demeanor. If you are away from your Garden of Eden, you will be frustrated and have difficult times and even be regarded as a waste or good for nothing by others around you. The white swan was unfortunate to live within flocks of chickens and ducks in the beginning, being laughed at and mocked by them, and was ridiculed as the ugly duckling. The genius painter, Vincent van Gogh, was spiritually enlightened, but had the misfortune to be living in a secular society, so he was unappreciated and taken advantage of all throughout his life and eventually died in poverty and with depression. Zhang Zia, the founding minister of the Zhou dynasty, went to do business, but ended up with losses rather than profits. Chan Jingrun, who took the crown pearl of the Goldbach conjecture, went to the market to buy vegetables and was ridiculed as being a bit silly. One who is kind should not be a commander. If you are kind and soft, then you should never lead an army into battle, for you would never become a general. One who is righteous should not engage in trade. If you have a strong sense of justice and are ready to help the weak, then you should never go into business, for you would never become wealthy. One who is honest should not enter into politics. If you like seeking out the truth from facts and adhering to the truth, then you should never enter politics, for you would never become a senior official. One who has a loving heart should not marry. If you have a loving heart, then you should never marry, for your love would be tied up and unable to shine with brilliance. One who has a noble soul should not mingle in the secular world. If you have a graceful heart, then you should never mingle in the secular world, for you would be regarded as silly and your beauty would go unappreciated. One who is unsophisticated should not engage in writing. If you are honest and simple, then you should never engage in writing, for your articles would not possess literary elegance and would likely invite scorn and ridicule. One of integrity should not engage in the art of war. If you advocate honesty and hate cheating, then you should never go into a war to confront others, for the art of war is full of tricks. Confronting others, whether civil or military, is all about tactics and tricks, so you would be doomed to lose. If you want to make your life happy, joyful, free, and blessed, if you want to play to your strengths and expertise, if you want to stand out and rank high, and if you want to climb to the highest realm of life and life, then you must find your own Garden of Eden. If you come from the 1,000-year world or the 10,000-year world of heaven, then you must not envy the world's high positions and great wealth and not waste your time trying to get your ideal life from the mortal world, because its soil is not suitable for you to grow in, bloom, and bear fruit. Your Garden of Eden is in heaven, not in the mortal world. Seek out those people who appreciate you, are nice to you, and who like you, but do not try to change anyone, especially those whose ideas and views are always against yours. A leopard cannot change its spots. One cannot change one's essential nature. To those people who have different frequencies of mind and consciousness, no matter how impressively you sing their praises, how you comfort them, how you attempt to persuade them, they will never appreciate your feelings or understand your intentions. Even if you open your heart to them, they will still be indifferent and persist in their old ways. When you find your Garden of Eden, you should cherish it. Never take for granted that you can do anything and give up your Garden of Eden. There was a division commander who battled like a fish in water and was very capable when he was in the army, but he grew proud and conceited and thought he would be capable in any environment, so he left the army and entered into civil administration. There he expected to play a great role, yet after years of rushing about, he suffered setbacks everywhere and could not achieve anything. The hero in the army became good for nothing during peacetime. Why? Because he had left his own Garden of Eden. Never assume that cacti can grow everywhere or can please everyone. That which comes easiest is the most valuable, however. That which comes easiest is the mostly likely to be ignored and undervalued. The greatest creator has given each of us a chance to access their Garden of Eden, but many of us do not pay due attention and do not value and understand their nature as much. Many people get it and then lose it. It is easy to lose than gain. What a pity! Look for your own Garden of Eden. I hope that everyone will find their own Garden of Eden.